Hello, with me again, Ina. And today I will explain about how to create a visual on your presentation. Uh, some people think that content is the most important, but I will add that visual is the cherry on top. It would everything looks more beautiful than it was. So I think visual is very important to enhance the level of your presentation. So if you want to excel on your presentation, you have to excel on the visual. It doesn't mean that you have to do the design, but it's kind of like trick your presentation PowerPoint. I would say that kind of like imagine the visual is the beginning of the presentation, and the beginning is the most important part of the work, says Plato. Sometimes our problem on the presentation is to keeping the attention of the audience. Sometimes the audience like feel distracted. They checking their phone, they talk to others, they see outside instead of listening or seeing what we present. So it's kind of like problem, but you can make everyone in the room, like 100 people in the room, satisfied with your presentation. And visual is one of the tips to keeping the attention of the audience. If you could master it, you will have a great presentation. So now I will give you tips about how to keep the presentation in the first 5 seconds. So the first 5 seconds is very important. Remember, first you have to remember your objective about effective communication. You have to remember your goal during the presentation. Is it to educate, to inform, to inspire of interest and persuade, to entertain, or which one? In the end, you have to, when you already realize which one is your goal, you have to grab and hold attention of the audience, because it would be like very different if you try to educate. It could you kind of have different visual. If you have to persuade people or entertain people, you will have different visual, of course. Why visual? Actually, visual help to make, explain, or identify a point. It also can be used to emphasize, clarify, or reinforce a point. It also can be used to remind, summarize, or review a point. Actually, based on research, we remember 10% of what we read, 20% of what we hear, 30% of what we see, and 50% of what we see and hear. So it's kind of like very good if you try to combine see and hear together. At least minimum 50% of your content, they could understand your content. So it's great. The visual aids can also enhance understanding. It would help a lot, believe me. You can add also variety to make people more interested about your presentation. You can use also your visual to support your claims, and you can also lasting the impact of your presentation, because some people say that pictures tells everything. However, if you use poorly visual, like too many pictures, too many color, they can be a distraction and lead to an ineffective presentation. So today we will learn how to use visual in an effective way, or in an enough portion. Do not put too much, do not put less. Visual aids should outline, explain, support main point. It also serves audience needs, not the speaker. So you have to try to put yourself as the audience, not as a speaker. Be simple and clear. Do not put a lot of words, a lot of sentence in the presentation. Supplement and support. For example, not to dominate the presentation, but it as a supplement and the support of the content. First, it's very important for you to tell your story, to engage with your audience. Show them the ideas, not the slide. Actually, the ideas can use like different font, different picture, or color, which represent your ideas to the audience. Now, try to imagine your presentation is already there, but how to tell the story using visual to your audience? It will make everything easier for them to understand. Okay, this is the rule. I would say 10, 20, 30 rules. Actually, 10 slides are enough. But this is the case when you have like free presentation. But if you have to present in a different occasion or special workshop, something like that, it might be more than 10 slides. But in a like common situation, usually 10 slides are enough. Why? Because too many slides will kill you. There's so many things that you want to say. Actually, it's very difficult. And people who listen to you or see your presentation will get bored. Now, pick the most important point. Do not put a lot of words, a lot of sentence. Choose the most important point that you want to share. 20 minutes are enough. Do not present more than 20 minutes because you will lose your engagement with the audience. Maybe your audience will sleep throughout your presentation, so I would not suggest more than 28 minutes presentation. This is a common situation, but maybe you will be a presenter in a like workshop, like full day workshop. Of course, it would be like more than 20 minutes. But I will also suggest you if you have like long presentation, you have to give break every 20 minutes, like giving them question, or you can pause by drinking water or walking and give them time to toilet break, something like that. 30 PDS font to catch attention and it's easier to read. Actually, this is to underline the most important word. This 30 PDS point used by Steve Jobs during his presentation. He always used this for the most important information. For example, the words thinnest notebook. See, people will capture by the simple words, but in a big font. You can imagine if the font is like very small, nobody can see it, so it cannot catch attention. Okay, clear enough? Some people say that less is more. Use headlines, not paragraph. This is the example how people put everything into the PowerPoint. Instead of present, people will reading, and it's a very uncomfortable for the audience for hearing that you are reading the presentation. It's really not okay. Try to avoid this. Put the most important thing on the notes and put simple content, information, and visual in the PowerPoint. You can also use visualization. I think the same ideas, the same content, if you put in a visual, people will get more interested. For example, this picture represent about the statistic. How many people who prefer long division using calculator? How many people using iPod mini? How many people never use telephone? So all about the data, all about the number, but it's kind of like very engaging because it's using color, it's using picture. They put a circle, they put logo, signs, symbols on the presentation. So I think it's a very nice for having things like this. You can use also a lot of pictures to explain about your presentation. People will be like very engaged, very attracted, especially if you use like very cheerful color. I won't say that use as many color as you can. However, you can like choose three main colors that will be repeating again and again and again on your PPT. That will be okay. Also, it helps using icon number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that. It will help people. Then, if you use like bullets, like titik-titik in the writing skill, it would be like very boring. Try to use visualization to explain about what you want to say. Typography. Typography is about the font. Which font is good, which font is to be avoided during the presentation. Actually, I would say during the presentation, try to use the bolder mark, the bolder fonts, sorry, like Stone Sense or a Gill Sense, something like that. It would be nice and people will see it like easily. Do not try to use like complicated typography like this one. Arial, Times New Roman, Comic Sans, and Impact is usually avoided by the people. However, Symphony, Garamond, Yanone, and Bebas usually use. Lily's script one, it would be nice. However, maybe it would be more complicated if you put it in the PPT. So try to be the audience and see which font that complicated when you see it in the auditorium, for example. Try to use the simple font. This is the font that is visible, for example, Arial, Tahoma, Trebuchet, Verdana. It's usually used and visible to audience. The title should be like 32 or 44 font size and bold so people can see what you want to say. Text should be as large as possible, like 24, 20 font size is nice because people can see it clearly, not too small. And last, use color wisely. Do not use contrasting color, too many color, for example. This is a nice color. You can see the range of color is a nice. They put like 4 types of color or 2 types, only black and red, for example. But this color is really not okay. Like blue with red, red with blue. Oh my god. It made the audience feel sick just by seeing this color. What do you feel now, guys? Seeing this color, I kind of like getting dizzy seeing this color, so I will go to the next page. And remember, for having a structure slide is also important. It's kind of like when you create the report, however, you put the report into the PPT. So it must have the structure, like the title, the introduction, the problem, example, solution, and restating your point would be nice to have that on the presentation. I'm sorry, this is still about the color. Actually, I have to move it on the previous slide. However, you can see that white on yellow is not working, yellow on white is not working. Black on blue, I think is not good, or blue on black is also not good. So try to avoid that. Do not push your eyes too much actually. Okay, this is about having transition. I would suggest that try to avoid transition because it's kind of like complicated and sometimes it's not working. Sometimes it's just make everything slower and you don't want to have that. So try to use less distracting movement or reduce eye movement and also increasing readability. I would say you don't have to do that, but if you want to do this, do not choose the complicated um, transition. And try to be consistent throughout the presentation. Do not try put fly in and then diamond and then wipe out and then slide in, something like that. So it's kind of like very distracting. Try to avoid that. And remember, when people or audience watch or see your presentation, they will using a movement, the Z rule. They will see from upper left, upper right, lower left, lower right, something like that. You can see upper left, upper right, lower left, and lower right. This is what people do. Okay, so be careful creating content, creating poster because everything has rule actually. See, this is the Z rule. So this is the recap for today about visual aid, about how to tell a great story, the 10, 20, 30 rules, and less is more. Put photos, use icon, choose the right typography, use the color, and structure your slide. If you master 6 tips in here, I believe that you will be a good speaker in the future. And this is all the reference that you can use for enhancing your visual aids. Okay, so thank you for today. See you again on our next meeting.